All right, so we have 9.6 graphing systems of linear inequalities. So let's start with the definition of system of inequalities. A system of inequalities is two or more linear, which means line, inequalities, which means it's not equal, that have a common solution. So what we're going to do, the last section we graphed one on a graph. This time we're going to be graphing two on the same graph. So let's look at this problem. 2x plus y is greater than 8, greater than and equal to 8, or 2x, and 2x minus y is greater than 1. So we're going to make two t-charts. And on this t-chart, we're going to do this problem. And then we'll do this one over here. So we want to treat it like an equal sign. I'm going to see what happens when I make x equal to 0. And I get y equals 8. Then I'm going to plug in 2 times 1 plus y is greater than is equal to 8. So I get 2 plus y equals 8. Opposite operations. Subtract that 2 from both sides. This is a 0. Bring down the y. 8 minus 2 is 6. So 6. And then the last one we're going to do is 2 times 2 plus y equals 8. 4 plus y equals 8. Opposite operations. Subtracts that 4 from both sides. This gives me 0. Y equals, 4. All right. So let's go ahead and graph that one. 0, 8. 1, 6. And 2, 4. There is an equal sign, so I know I need a solid line. What you might notice is I used the same problem on the assignment from the day before, so it might look kind of familiar. We're going to plug a 0, 0 in and see if it works. 2 times 0 plus 0 is greater than or equal to 8. 0 plus 0 is 0, and 0 is not greater than 8. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to color in the correct side. This side is the side that worked. We're going to kind of move this problem down where we can actually do the work down here. 2x minus y is equal to 1 because we're going to treat it like an equal sign. We're going to add 0 in first. We have 0 minus y. Now, still a negative y. That didn't go anywhere. So I'm going to multiply this side by a negative 1 and this side by a negative 1. So negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times y is y. Negative times a positive is negative. 1 times 1 is 1. So I get negative 1. Okay, so now we're going to try plugging in the 1. And so we have 2 times 1 is 2 minus y equals 1. Make our mirror. It's a positive 2. It's subtraction, but you want to look at the 2 and go, okay, the 2 is positive. The opposite would be negative. 2 minus 2 is 0. Negative y is left over. Negative 2 with a positive 1 gives me a negative 1. The opposite operation, so we've got this negative. We're going to multiply both sides by a negative 1. Negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times y is y. Negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 1 is 1. So I go all the way back up and add that 1. Last one we're going to do is a 2. 2 times 2 minus y equals 1. 4 minus y equals 1. Subtract that 4 from both sides. This is a 0. Negative y is left over. Negative 4 and positive 1 is negative 3. Multiply both sides by that negative 1. Y equals 3. So now we're going to go back now and graph it. 0, negative 1, 1 over 1, or 1, 1, 2, 3. There's no equal sign. It's just a greater than. So I'm going to go ahead and dash my line. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make that line come up a little bit. All right. 0, 0 is not on that line. So we can use 0, 0 to see if it works. So I have 2 times 0 minus 0 is greater than 1. So 0 minus 0 is 0, and 0 is not greater than 1. So I'm going to use a different color highlighter at this point. It didn't work on this side, so I'm going to graph on this side. And the solution set is where, in the case of my problem, where the blue and the yellow meet. So where the two equations actually shade at the same time. So if I look at this carefully, the blue and the yellow are coming together right in this section right here. And so that's my actual answer to that problem. All right, so let's try another problem. And this time I'm going to put the t-chart here for this graph. And I'm going to put the t-chart over here for this graph. And we're going to start graphing it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do most of the work down here. Just keep it away from my graph. And this will be y equals negative 2x plus 3. So first we'll do this side. And what happens when we plug in x is 0. So in this case, y equals 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. So that was easy enough. Y equals 4 times 1 minus 1. Y equals 4 minus 1, which is 3. And the last one, what happens when it's 2? 2 minus 1. So 4 times 2 is 8 minus 1. Y is 7. So go up to our graph. 0, negative 1, 1, 3, and 2, 7. All right. There is no equal sign, so I know that means I got to dash that line. Dash, dash, dash. It does not go through the 0, so I can go ahead and plug in 0 for both and see if 0 works. 0 is greater than 0 minus 1. 0 is greater than negative 1. So I'm going to go ahead and color it in on this side, and this time I'm going to use yellow. Now I'm going to do the other equation. So what happens when x is 0? Y equals 0 plus 3, which is 3. Go up here. All right. So now what happens when x is 1? Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. And negative 2 plus 3 is a positive 1. Our last one is see what happens when you plug in 2. Negative 2 times 2 plus 3. Negative 2 times positive 2 is a negative 4. Y equals negative 1. Go ahead and graph that. 0, 3. And 1, 1. And 2, negative 1. There is no equal sign, so again, I'm going to be dashing that line. It's very important that you know the difference. When there's no equal sign, you have to dash the line or it's wrong. And now I'm going to plug in 0, 0. It's not on my line, so I know it's going to be an easier one to do, and it works. 0 is less than 0 plus 3, and 0 is less than 3. So this side is what's going to be colored in. And again, you're looking for where the two come together. If you don't have two different colored highlighters like I'm using, just make your lines in different directions so that you can see exactly where they cross over with your pencil. So again, here's where they come together. Boom, you can see right where the change is. And this area on forever going in that direction would be your answer. All right, so here we go. We're going to do another one. We have 2 more left. This one and 1 more. So let's go ahead and make our t-chart up here and make our t-chart over here. All right, so now we're going to pretend it's an equal sign. I'm going to move down here to do the actual work. And what it says is no matter what, y equals 2. No matter what, y equals 2. So when I come up here for this one, y equals 2. So I get 0, 2, 1, 2, and 2, 2. No equal sign at all. So again, I'm dashing my way through. The 0 with 0 doesn't work. So if I plug it in, y is 0. 0 is not greater than 2. So that means I'm going to color in up here above the line. Now I kind of have a little problem because I already filled in the x's here, but I can just erase it with my whiteout tape. That's easy enough. And the problem tells me x is negative 1. So no matter what, x is negative 1. I can make my y anything I want it to be. Okay, so now let's graph that. Negative 1, 0. negative 1, 1, and negative 1, 2. There is an equal sign, so I know that it's going to be a solid line. 0, 0 is not on that point, so I'm going to plug that in. Well, if x is 0, I get 0 is less than or equal to negative 1, and it's not. So that means on the side where the 0 is, it does not work. So my line would look like this, and you can see where the blue and the yellow come together. Kind of have my blue going over the line there. So where is the answer? Right up here between these two lines on forever and ever in that area right there. All right, so we have one more problem to try. And again, this time we're going to make our t-chart. And I check. My 0, 1, 2 is going to be okay. So I put that down. And then we're going to solve, just like if these were equal signs. We're going to pretend they're equal. And we're going to plug them in. So if x is 0, y is 0. If x is 1, y is 1. And if x is 2, y is 2. Easy way to easy for graphing for the math. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. There is an equal sign, so that means it's a solid line. You should also notice that the line goes right through 0, 0. It's one of the points I had. So I can't use 0, 0, can't use 1, 1. Just pick anything. Do 1, 0. So what happens up here if I make this 1 and this 0? 0 is greater than or equal to 1. Well, 0 is not greater than or equal to 1. So this does not work. That means I'm coloring on the side above the line like this. Okay, now let's plug in over here. Y equals negative 0, which there is no negative 0. It's just 0. 0 plus 1, so y equals 1. What happens when the x is a positive 1? So negative x makes negative 1. Negative 1 and positive 1 equals 0. And the last one, y equals negative 2 plus 1. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So now we're going to come up here and we're going to graph it. 0, 1, 1, 0, and 2, negative 1. There's an equal sign, so I am going to go right through it and make it a solid line. 0, 0 is not on that specific line, so I can plug it in. 0 is less than or equal to 0 plus 1. 0 is less than or equal to 1, and that is very true. So we color in on the side that the dot is. So there's 0, 0. I'm going to color in on this side. Again, looking for where the blue and the yellow come together, depending on your color. And you'll notice right here, it's in this area right in here that the two come together.